All resells are gonna make mistakes. Learn from them and you'll have what it takes. In the world of reselling, we're your guide. With flipping easy by your side.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is John and Jenna with Flippin Aint Easy, and happy Monday to everyone. Hopefully you had a lot of orders to ship today. Us, not so much. Kind of average. It wasn't great. I mean, just kind of sporadic sales over the weekend. Nothing to write home about.
Wasn't bad.
And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about in this live, and we can and we will because there's lots to talk about. But I watched the video, sort of a rebuttal video rebuttal to his own interview, and that's from Justin Resells. And it got me to thinking about this topic. And, you know, it may get controversial. My take might be a little controversial too, might be surprising to you. But who really owns the buyer when we have a buyer? Is it eBay? You know, you look at a lot of their terms and conditions and stuff, you would think that it's eBay. But do we own the buyer? Is it our buyer? We did the transaction, we did the sale, we made the sale, we made eBay the money off of our sale, so it doesn't belong to us. And that is, let me see my keyboard here. I should have had this ready before we started, but of course, you know me. I want to start a poll here, and I don't think it's going to let me. I would like to. I wish I would have done that.
Start a poll.
Yeah,
You're
but
starting a Q&A.
I wanted to do a Q&A or okay, let's see if I can start a poll. Okay, eBay or the seller. Okay, so who owns? Here's the question I'm going to do. Who owns the buyer when you sell on eBay? Now, look, there's no right or wrong. Everyone's got their own thoughts on this, and you know, does it even matter what we think at the end of the day? But I just pose this question because I think the easy answer for sellers to say is 100% it's our buyer, but there's other things that are other parts of that argument that are involved here. And first of all, what I want to do is I want to, for those of you who actually did not have a chance to check out the interview from Justin Resells, by the way, again, kudos to Justin. If you're out there, good job. You did a great job. Given that it apparently was kind of an impromptu thing, you weren't even sure or ready that that you were going to even have the interview. It kind of just happened. That's even more amazing that you were able to pull it off as well as you did. Now, here is the question that Justin asks, and we'll do like a 50-second cutaway. And here it is.
And define customers in the eBay ecosystem.
Well, I mean, definitely there's no party unless you've got inventory on the platform and you're the guy with inventory on the platform. In my case, I have a lot more product that I could list, but I've got limits on my account. So, it is far more important to listen and build the business around you, because once you have the inventory, it's going to be priced at whatever the market can bear, and the buyers are going to be there. So the most important part of the equation here is the seller and making sure that they can bring as much inventory as easily as possible onto the platform.
So that's the take that, without the seller, pretty much you don't have a platform that sells anything, which it's sort of like who came first, the chicken or the egg kind of thing, because you still need both. You still need the buyer and the seller. But here is sort of what Justin had to say about that, sort of in retrospect.
Like buyers on eBay, they're our customers. They're the customers of the sellers. eBay's customers are us, the sellers, and the buyers are our customers. I don't think eBay knows that anymore. And so I thought it was really refreshing that just seemed to be his default position on it. And of course, like, he's on a YouTube channel talking to me as a seller, and he knows the audience is sellers. But even so, it was almost as if the concept of buyers didn't even play into his thinking, which I just thought was really telling in a good way. Because do you think that eBay right now views sellers as their primary customer? Definitely not primary. I'm not saying we get no support here. Obviously, we get support, but we're certainly not the primary customer. And we're not even an equal customer with the buyers. We're somewhere over there. So I thought that was really telling.
So that's sort of the argument that I really expect everyone to kind of make with this poll. And right now it's 65% on who owns the buyer when you sell on eBay. So far with 26 votes, it's eBay over the seller. Now, of course, you know me, I start thinking about this and I go down rabbit holes. The question that I have to ask, and I'm kind of in the middle ground, guys. I should have probably put an answer in the middle, like kind of 50-50, but I'm kind of in the middle here. The question that I have for you guys, if you moved your entire inventory, let's say the Shopify, right? Or your own personal website, what percentage of eBay repeat buyers would actually follow you over there? Now, for me, that number is easy. Anybody want to guess? 0. 0 would follow me over. I don't get many repeat buyers at all. Another question that I have for you is, if a buyer has a bad experience with a seller, and do they actually say, I'm never doing business with the seller, or do they say, I'm never doing business again on eBay? And I think that's important because, if we start looking at it as this is our buyer and the rules, we relax the rules against sellers. And I don't want a lot of these regulations too, but I realize that we're dealing with bad sellers on the platform. If you relax a lot of these things that we have to deal with, so sellers start treating buyers badly, will they come back for your item? See, I'm always looking at, how do we build the buyer base to where they come back and buy from me? They'll only buy a one-off item from me, but every item a buyer we turn away, where we're like, this policy, we have 3 days to return your item, which I think 7 days is probably where the sweet spot is. But whatever that is, if we start taking these policies that are pro buyer and become more pro seller, are we pushing buyers away off the platform? Is it less, what's the right word? Is it less, I don't have the right word. I don't know. What I'm trying to say is, okay, of course I'm having a block with my words here, but is it less interesting or less, that's not even the right word. The buyer's not going to want to buy from us, as there's no incentive. There's the 30-day return policy, gives these buyers a chance to, like, okay, well, I'm gonna be gone for 2 weeks. I can return it if there's a problem, when I get back. It's, if you make it too hard, or what I've called before, you want to create a low effort buying experience. And yes, I do think that you have two bars here. You got the buyer, the seller, and eBay is way over here toward the buyer, and they need to come back into the middle. So eBay is on the other side of that equation, in my opinion. Now, the argument is eBay just a landlord? The customers come for the shop, not the mall. This is actually the buyer argument. So the seller's the one sourcing the inventory. This is what Ryan Cohen had to say about it. And I agree. We're the ones going out, finding it, putting it up for sale, taking our energy, our money, and putting it up. We take the photos, we get all the descriptions, you get it all listed, do all the hard work. And without our effort, there's nothing to buy on the platform. It's a blank slate platform, and there's nothing. A buyer shows up and there's just nothing there. We pay for promoted listings. We pay that out of our profits. If a buyer often returns to a specific seller, like you selling within a niche, because your packaging, your speed, your communication, you deliver upon what you promise. eBay has nothing to do with that. That's the argument for. Now, the argument for how the buyer belongs to eBay is, without the eBay logo, it's a trust thing. They see eBay, they built a reputation. That umbrella that we sell under gives people, it's not like they're selling on Craigslist. They're selling on a reputable platform where buyers feel comfortable in doing business with us. I think that's very important. I think without that, we're just nothing more than selling on, Mercari, or, some of these other lesser platforms. It is the brand that is bringing in the traffic. So I don't know. I just want to put it out there. I'm kind of in the middle, and I want to see more relaxed seller policies. I do, but not at the expense of buyers feeling like they're going to get ripped off, or they just don't feel easy in doing business anymore, with eBay. So again, you treat your customer right, they might come back and buy from me. That's my customer too. And even though I didn't do any business with them yet, I'm hopeful they're going to come back and do business with me. So I hopefully I made sort of an argument for both sides, but I'm kind of in the middle, and I want to know what you think. And hopefully I presented that okay without, I guess that moment of losing my my mind and not knowing what the hell I'm saying. But hopefully you guys understand where I'm coming from. So we have Thomas S. says, hey, I made it finally.
You made it finally.
Nice
It's
to
about
see you.
time.
Hopefully you can make it more often. That's awesome. John Gaynor says, hi, Jenna and John. Sales are slowing down. I think gas prices are hitting home now. And I that was the original title of this video. A lot of times I'm looking for something to really of substance to talk about. And it was kind of gonna go, and we can still talk about it, but my sales are been sporadic. We had a $750 day on Wednesday, then Thursday right after $140 day, and then followed by a $375 day, and then a $175 day, and then a couple middling $300 days. So it's not the greatest at all. And my store has gone up in size because I'm still listing at the same level, maybe a little higher level, getting more items listed, but my store is growing faster than I thought it would. And part of that is I'm just not getting as many sales as I am used to. We are actually down 5% year over year. I didn't run the report for that today. I know we're down over the last 30 days, but this year, just to kind of show you where we're at, this is the main account. We're down 4.4% year over year. And last year at this time, I remember we were up double digits year over year from the previous year. So not the direction that I want to be going, but hey, what can I do about it? Other than, pushing forward, getting more things listed, getting more lines in the water. Let's say you're fishing at a lake and there's only so many fish in the lake. You can just keep fishing with that one fishing pole, or you can add a couple more lines in the water and increase your chances. And that's kind of what we're doing by adding more items to the store, even though it can be demotivating. Why am I doing this when nobody's buying my stuff anyway? Keep getting your stuff up and listed, I think, is the only real way to sort of, combat that. Thomas says, no more buys or picks for me for a couple months. I have 2 college tuitions to pay for.
Ouch.
Well, but it isn't like you're buying as a collection. You're buying as an investment. You're investing capital in your business, and if you do it right, you're flipping that and you're turning that, instead of letting it sit into a savings account, you're actually using that money to earn more money. These damn distractions are expensive. Yeah. Well, they're not distractions until they move out. I don't think I made that clear. If you have kids living at home, they're not distractions. Those actually can be employees. And I didn't leverage that properly.
No, you didn't.
But in hindsight, those distractions are actually valued assets that can be put into play. And then when they leave the house, now it's like, okay, you got your own life. Now they're distractions. So you still have to manage it, but it's there's no benefit for that. Mike says, hi, John and Jen and FAE family. I hope everyone had a good sales weekend. I like the new morning live format. John, it should be fun. And I just wanted to, it's going to hold me accountable, to be consistent with that. I'm not a great morning person. So to do that for a half an hour a day just to get started. Now, I know we started at 8:30 this morning. I may push that back to 8. And here's the deal. I saw some of the comments that were out there, and I'm not trying to cause flack for anyone. I'm not trying to cause a headache for anyone. I'm not trying to get in anyone's way. I'm not trying to mess up anyone's live stream that might come behind me. Has nothing to do with that. This is something, when we were doing PPP, I was looking at maybe doing a 30-minute daily check-in thing, and it just, my health issues have been sort of an issue for me lately. It's been very difficult. And now that I kind of see myself, or feel better, see myself being able to do it daily, I'm just going to do it, and get out here, and let's stop talking about it. Let's start doing it. And I may start it at 8, so that if I do run over, it's not going to affect anyone. I'm not trying to cause any more rifts. I know it's sort of like high school, the way this whole thing kind of ended up. You got team this and team that, and I don't like that. The audience, like, oh, I'm a side with this creator over this. It shouldn't have to be that way. I mean, if you're tuning in for information, it's like, you shouldn't have to feel like you're in anybody's, side. There should be a side to this. It's just nonsense. Biff says, Todd made the Justin Resells thumbnail.
Oh, you did?
I think that's a joke. Is that a joke? I don't know.
Well, what's on the thumbnail?
I don't know. I didn't see a thumbnail. But here's Francisca DePaulo. Says, hi, John and Janet. Hi, Janet.
Janet, that's a first. Hello.
It's Jenna. Have you been called Janet before?
No, I don't think so.
I hope that you have a great show. Chemo said that you are the reason of No More Playbook podcast, but I hope you change your mind. I kind of thought about kind of how things went down, and I said, it's like, if we're pushing this back because of me, then I'll just step away. That's kind of what it went down. I want to have the podcast again. I think Beard has kind of stepped away, except for like maybe Friday nights when he can just relax with the guys and do his own thing. And that said, I'd be open to doing it with Primo, but I'm under the impression that's not possible. So, we'll see. I'm never going to say never. Let me put it that way. Flipping from the Trailer says, good evening, everyone. Nice to see you. Flipping from the Trailer. Bachelor Brad is in the house. Let me move my arm.
We're just fighting over
armrests.
armrests.
Fighting over armrests. Lower your heating bell. Says, go Ryan, go. Make eBay great again.
That would be nice.
Look, I stand by what I said in the video I put out over the weekend. I really am optimistic if this can be pulled off. I mean, I don't know the financials and all that. I know that, was it CNBC or whoever it was, sort of, or MSNBC, who had him on during the week on an interview. They kind of almost laughed him out of the building. I kind of hated to see that, but they know more about the financial side than I do. So they're trying to figure out, forget how you're going to run eBay, how are you going to pay for the thing? And, he really, other than, check out the website, it's all there. He wasn't really able to convince them, which led me to kind of doubt the whole thing. But then after Justin's interview, now they didn't really dive too much into the financial side of how you're going to make this even happen. At least the vision made me feel a little bit better about it than just somebody who's looking to make a quick flip on, let's leverage all of our stock and cash assets, buy eBay, run it into the ground and then sell it off. So that made me feel better that at least it doesn't seem like that's going to happen. So Thomas S. says, I just put in an offer to buy the Anaheim Angels. I hope they take it. First thing I'm going to do is let go of the center fielder. See, you're a Yankees fan, see, and when we go to New York, he doesn't treat you very well, and I think what you want to do is trade him to the Yankees, and then once you run the Angels into the ground, you're going to sell it. That's kind of what I was just talking about. Lower your heating bill, says John. You've been selling new items for 5 years, mostly shipped from my suppliers. I get most returns sent to me to avoid restocking fees. Resell as new if possible. If damaged, as open box, charge shipping. But I would also want my own website. I think Shopify lets you cross-list to eBay. Wix lets you cross-list to Amazon, eBay, TikTok, Facebook, etc. So, as far as like cross-listing, I'm definitely team TreeCat, and I am a very loyal guy. So any kind of cross-listing behavior, it's definitely going to go through them. They will be adding stuff very, very soon. They're constantly adding stuff to their platform. So at some point they'll have Shopify. The third store that I'm messing with right now, I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do it to make it worth my while. I'll just put it that way. It's really kind of hard to kind of dive into without showing you, and I really don't want to show you guys the third store because it's one of those things I want to do without telling people what I'm selling.
That's going to be something totally different. It's not even eBay related. So
that's not eBay related. What I'm selling? If I sell on eBay, it's eBay related.
No, it's not going to be a public thing.
Yeah, I'm going
to guarantee you right now that thing is going to stay a business that we have as a secondary to this.
Yeah. I mean, I may make reference to it in general, but not specifics. I won't be showing information on that.
Yeah.
Joe
There's
Samar.
Other people involved that don't need to have it's just it is not going to be public.
But I'll still reference it in general. So Joseph Morris says, howdy John and Jenna. 90 degrees here, so it must be over 100 there.
It's 100 and
it's 100 and too much.
4, I think.
Yeah, 100 and too much out here, and I'm not here for it. Todd's with us. Nice to see you, Todd. And then we've got Keith. Nice to see you, Keith. Hi, John and Jenna. Hope both are well.
Thank you.
Yeah, nice to see you guys. Henri Squaw says, howdy, John, Jenna, and FA chat family.
104.
Yeah, we got the AC on in here.
Yeah,
so.
And I don't have any of the doors open. Like, normally I would, let the dogs have full access to the back patio and the to use the restroom or whatever. But it's too hot. And they have not, I think they've gone outside like maybe twice. So it's just way too hot already. 104 in May, and I'm not here for it.
Yeah.
I wish we could be like snowbirds and go somewhere where it's cooler during the summer.
Yeah, I'm not very happy.
What happened?
I just found out that our best player got traded. Not Mike Trout, by the way.
Well, he can't be traded.
Soriano got traded, apparently. I'm not very happy about that. And I'm very, very upset about that. What the heck is going on? Would he get traded for like a hot dog and a root beer?
Where's it going?
Oh, geez. So it is true.
Oh.
Okay.
Wait, it said 2 different teams.
That's a different Soriano. I'm not going to go into it. You guys don't care.
Oh.
I care. It's one of those things that actually make me feel good or bad about things, and this doesn't make me feel good about things. Shopping with Cheryl says, happy Monday. Hope you all had a good weekend. I had a very, very good weekend as far as not really sales, but just, I had a chance to just dive into things, and it was fun. Yeah, it was very productive. Let's see. Talk about college. Callie Debs says, hello, everyone. Nice to see you, Callie Debs.
Hello, hello.
Hopefully you're not as hot as we are out here in Vegas. Todd says, great weekend of sales, but today sucks. That's because you haven't hit the like button yet, Todd. You weren't here with us in the morning. At least you didn't make your presence known. I think you watched it after the fact. You get with us on the live, you hit the like button, you're going to get a sale in the next 24 hours.
So are you guaranteeing that they're going to get 2 sales?
I did guarantee that. And, what's it going to cost me? I'm going to give them back what they spent to hit the like button, which is a lot, but I'm willing to do that. Casey New York says, hi, Jenna, John, and FAE chat. Nice to see you.
Hello.
And Fisher Flips is saying, and he's a big clothing seller, sales have dropped significantly, and it's not even summer slowdown yet.
Yeah.
And that's
That's
concerning.
what scares me.
People wearing their old last year stuff instead of buying this year stuff. Is that what's going on? Because this dude's been wearing last year stuff from last year, from the year before, from the year before, from the year before.
That's
stuff.
no joke. No joke. His daughter makes fun of him every time he wears these specific shirts.
You know, what is it? IGDAF? IDGAF. I really don't. After 50, you kind of stop caring. I guess maybe you could say if I had it, it's like, well, you have a channel, you really need to care. But it's kind of the way I look at it. I'm like, I am who I am. I'm just gonna wear the same crap. Flip It Good says, "Happy Monday. Nice to see you, Flip It Good."
Hello.
Joe Constantino says, "Hi everyone. Nice to see you." And then Jovial says, "I think there might be a shit stir amongst us." Who's stirring up the shh? It's okay. I'm used to it. That's my life. But how's about with shopping with Cheryl? Says eBay holds all their info, all the buyer info, right? And what about this argument? What would you do with this? Because eBay really has this on lockdown. You can't give your buyer your phone number. You can't communicate sales outside of eBay. How many sellers out there would, if we were allowed to, would take the sales off of eBay? Maybe that's another poll. But I'm curious if you would take the sale off of eBay if that restriction was removed. So there's a lot of things in place that seem to be pro-buyer, but it's really, if you think about it, eBay has an interest of keeping these buyers on the platform. Any sale that happens on the platform means money in their pocket. They have a vested interest in keeping that buyer and not letting that buyer get away, because now they got your phone number and they like the things that you're selling. They may never need to go back for that item on eBay again. Hollywood Reseller says, probably both eBay and seller. If it wasn't because of the sellers, eBay would not exist. I agree. But if it weren't for the buyers, eBay would be nothing more than bonanza, is my argument. And anybody sell really well over there on Bonanza? I'd like to meet that person and shake their hand. Jovial says, hey, FA fam, happy Technology Day.
Oh, Technology Day.
Gotta love our technology.
Yeah.
Gotta love it.
Gotta love
Even
it,
though
gotta
the
hate
technology's giving us bad news. Gosh, I hate that. So I guess...
How about you close the screen so you can't see it?
It's going to sit with me now. I think the buyer owns the buyer, says Henri Squaw. I mean, it's their decision, but how many in the past, right? Because I don't see this really anymore. How many people have hit you up in the messages and said, like to talk to you more about your item, and then they'd give a screenshot and it would be like, they'd spell out the number like 9, NINE, and then 5, FIVE. Write out all the numbers in letter form for their phone number for you to call them. Thinking
Have
that...
you had that happen?
Oh, yeah. I've had that happen before. Kevin Hawthorne says, good evening. Nice to see you, Kevin,
Hi,
from
Kevin.
Lakeland, Florida. Todd says, sellers interact with buyers, lists the product, ships. There is no way eBay owns my buyers. I am the one that takes care of them. Okay, so you have a buyer that you've taken care of. They do a transaction with me. I treat them like absolute trash to the point where they're like, screw this place. There's other places for me to buy my stuff. And I don't even care if I've done business with people like Todd before. This is just a bit too much. I'm not coming back. So is that really still your buyer if you had no...
Yeah, you did your buyer You did your buyer wrong.
But Todd didn't. Todd did everything right. And then they kept coming back to eBay, and finally they bought from me right before they were going to go buy the other thing from Todd, and I did them wrong and pissed them off so bad that they said, screw this. I don't need to deal with, not value trends, but I'm not going to deal with eBay. I really do believe that if someone has a bad experience on eBay, they're not saying I'm not going to do business with that, Joe Blow 1980. I ain't doing business on eBay anymore. Forget this place.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
No party. That's trouble, says Bachelor Brad. Hollywood Reseller says it would be awesome to see GameStop work with eBay to help us get buyers locally near their locations. It feels as if the purchase of eBay is too risky. And what's the risk? What happens if they buy it and let's say Ryan's not ready to run eBay? Maybe this idea, and I talked about this in my rebuttal video of the weekend. You can't just go into eBay saying, okay, everyone, 11,500 people, here are your pink slips, okay? And then we're transferring all this information over to my mainframe at my house, and I'm just going to run it from you just can't. You might see that there's a lot of bloat within eBay, but each person, I mean, unless you're just sitting there taking lunch breaks all day, each person has a job to do. And unless you're maybe getting AI to take over that responsibility, or maybe you're taking those responsibilities from 3 people and giving it to one, you have to put processes in place. And I'm not assuming that he's not, but what I'm saying is that can take a lot of time. And, someone like Ryan buys eBay, and so we're thinking, okay, 2027, the year of the seller, and it never happens. Or at least it doesn't happen for years down the road. And now Ryan's the bad guy just because he didn't get the systems in place.
Also, too, you think that once a new person comes in and buys a company, that there's going to be all these changes and they're going to fix this and fix that and fix this and fix that. They don't do anything with the business, and everything stays the same. All the policies stay the same. Everything is the same. They're just now the owner. There's no change to anything. So that could also be a case. You got to understand too, this is coming from someone, and I've talked about this before, but coming from someone who's run his own department that had all these great ideas. You get there and the pushback is so intense that 11,500 employees, they know they're going to eventually lose their job. You think they're going to cooperate with that? Yeah.
So,
or you go in and you buy this company, and here you are, like Ryan has done before, where he buys a company, makes it profitable, and then sells it 5 years later. Then what happens? And the policies all go back to revert
maybe
back
not. Maybe they buy the business as it is, and if it's working, you just keep going with what.
Right. So all of this is all just talk and conspiracy to think,
that's all
this
we do.
or all that. I mean, that's all we do anyway with eBay, So I don't know. That's just my take. Unless it actually happens and you see things happening on the platform where it's beneficial to the sellers, I don't really care either way, because I don't.
Well, based on what he said,
eBay
it's
has made me numb to the fact that the platform is always going to run with a bunch of problems. Once they fix one problem, they break 5 more. So I'm not real hopeful,
Well, this is the closest.
Call me a Debbie Downer or not, but I'm just real.
This is the closest we've ever seen this kind of thing happening. We see CEOs come and go, right? But as far as someone saying, I'm going to step in and I want to do these things and I want to make it more seller focused, that's refreshing to a lot of us. And this is the closest thing we've seen.
Right, but we've also
happened.
worked at Amtrak where, they changed ownership and CEOs or not ownership, but CEOs.
Right.
And they speak a lot and talk a lot of, great things. And then nothing happens.
Yeah.
And so the employees are left holding the bag of the same shit show that they had before. So
Right.
I guess I'm just numb to it, and I don't have much faith because of, I've worked for a very large company and I've seen them disappoint us. So
Edit to Flip It says, I agree with Justin. The buyers are ours, but eBay is a moderator only when needed. However, I do not ship through eBay, and that does make a difference in this scenario.
yeah.
Bachelor Brad says he just wants a large black coffee. We'll go get one.
You know what? An iced coffee, a vanilla iced coffee right now would be so good.
Keith says, it's eBay's sandbox, eBay's traffic, eBay's algorithm. eBay holds the buyer account and details, so it's pretty clear who owns the buyer. But on the flip side, there's an argument that suggests it's the sellers.
Yeah, because
It-
if the sellers weren't selling on eBay and eBay had no sellers, what would they then be?
Here's the current state of eBay. As sellers on the platform, we indirectly work for eBay. eBay expects us to represent eBay and represent as sellers, represent the company that we're working for in a way to where we respect the buyers and we do right by the buyers. And here's a list of guidelines and rules that you must follow. Otherwise, you're not going to be a seller on the account or on eBay anymore. You're going to be essentially terminated.
Yeah.
And that sucks because, you know, we don't want to work for anyone. We want to essentially work for ourselves. And I want to see, okay, if it can kind of be brought back towards the seller. And I'm not an advocate for it to be like, let's just go crazy and treat buyers any way we want. And this cannot, for anybody who's actually been around back in the mid 2000s or before, it cannot be a situation where sellers can leave a negative for buyers. And I know that's something that people want badly. Guys,
That'll never happen.
You can't, because your intentions might be good. Okay, I really want to report this buyer because they tried to, or they swapped out my Xbox for a brick or something. We need to be, there needs to be a way for other sellers to know about that. So maybe there's a way to make that, but you can't, because if someone leaves you a legit negative feedback, there's a population of the selling sellers out there who would actually use it to attack the buyer.
Yeah.
And, in nasty ways like it was done before. And I think that it can't go that far. And I'm sorry to disappoint people, but, it needs to be a professional place to do business. It needs to be a place that, isn't.
Yeah, can you imagine if we all left negatives for somebody who made us feel bad about the sale that we, the transaction that we had? It would be a royal shit show, and there would be negatives on everybody everywhere because somebody made them feel a certain way.
Feelings are for buyers. They shouldn't be for sellers. That's the kind of way I look at it. Facts are for sellers, but we should take the feelings and put them aside and move on.
Yeah.
We deal with something that makes us feel like we want to leave a negative or something like
I
that.
gotta go fix my contact. I can't see out of my left
Well,
eye.
we can't see either, so I don't even have my contacts in. Travis in Dallas says maybe eBay buys GameStop instead. That would be interesting, huh? I do like the idea of taking these locations. You have 1,600 GameStop locations. Someone said that they're closing like 400 of them. I don't know what the deal is on that. But taking the GameStop locations and making them to where you can go, or if you can mail them if you want to mail them. There's the same system that's in place right now with authentication, but certain types of collectibles. Now, it wouldn't be, grandma's old, clock, or, some kind of old thing that GameStop doesn't deal with. It would, from my understanding, when Ryan was saying that those sites can be leveraged for authentication and items being shipped out on our behalf, that would be for items that can be authenticated based on things they already know to authenticate. I don't want some random guy that says, "Oh yeah, it looks like a Rolex. It looks pretty good to me." And it's like, well, does he really even know? And now the buyer's getting a bad fake. Keith says, Thomas, that's his motto: buy it, grow it, flip it. That's his track record. And he said that this was going to be his baby, though. So does that mean, because he is, I don't know his history of selling on eBay. I know he's started doing that recently, where he recently listed 35 items. I know he says that he actually, well, I do know he buys on eBay because he left a negative to a seller. So that tells me that the negative feedback system is probably going to stay in place. Look, I'm here for it. If it happens, I'll be the first one to, be excited about it. But it's just trying to temper my excitement a little bit, because it's the probability isn't that high from what I know. Let's see. Hollywood Reseller says it would make more sense For eBay to buy GameStop, I agree. Less risky than possibly keep Ryan on as an employee. I don't think he's staying on as an employee. It's one of those things where once you become a CEO, it's hard to step down to roles where you're not in charge. That's one of the reasons why, and I wasn't a CEO, but I was, I ran my own department within a large organization. And the idea of, moving 3,000 miles away and stepping down and no longer being in that role, which all management was going to have to do, was not something I was interested in, which is why we bounced from that situation. Todd says, BS, the buyers are mine. eBay is nothing without sellers. And I agree with that sentiment.
I agree with that. Yeah.
I agree with that sentiment, but the buyers, are they going to keep a lot of these restrictions in place? It's one thing to say all these things where, it's all about the seller, blah, blah, blah. But are you still going to make it restrictive when we communicate with our buyers? Are you still going to keep these things in place to where, someone can just leave us a willy-nilly negative and there's not a whole lot that's going to be done because we follow all the steps and eBay still says, well, even though it's obvious that you're not at fault, the buyer is entitled to their opinion about the transaction. And so therefore we can't take it down. So, is that going to change? Let's see. Joe says, the more times I hear him, he sounds more and more like a space cadet.
You know what, Joe? I feel the same way.
Some people talk slow. Some people
Yeah.
talk like they're, just, going with the flow.
Yeah.
Keith says, what he needs to do is buy eBay, have a team to create a modern version of the platform, and then close the site and launch a new one with buyer and seller accounts transferred. Amen there, Keith. I've said this for the longest time. And that very well may be why eBay's having a hard time implementing other things. Like, that's probably why they don't have the... It's kind of funny. A tech company like eBay, they can't institute their own competent... They have their own, but it's not competent AI listing tool.
Yeah.
And I firmly believe it's because they don't have enough data within their data. They got a large data set, but it's yet not enough to make that work. Whereas third-party companies like TreeCat, they go out to these other LLM AIs and they pull the data, and that's not something that eBay has done. Now, is it because there's limitations within the platform itself that doesn't allow them to do that? Or I just refuse to believe it's something because they're stubborn.
I don't think that's the case.
They don't want to pay the money?
They don't want to pay. For one, they don't want to pay the money because the eBay systems are so antiquated that it would take doing exactly that in order to do that. And they don't want to lose revenue.
Fisher Flip says, I really believe the increased shipping has pushed a lot of buyers away. For me in clothing, buyers are not paying $10 for shipping, and that's using my discount, just my opinion. I believe it. I mean, I think it's all relative in how much the item is selling for. So if you're selling it for 20, people think, okay, I see the price for 20. They click into your item. And this is why my conversion rate sucks, I think, because people see, okay, you have this item for $50 and they go through the checkout and they say, well, what's this shipping for 15? What do you mean?
Yeah.
Now it's a $65 item? No. And they back out and they go find someone who has it built in for 60.
Yeah. Whereas before, people were like, they were more than willing to pay the shipping $6, $7. But now it's gone up so high that, I mean, I've gone back to using FedEx because Ground Advantage just isn't it anymore.
And this is a question or a statement that I'm having a tough time with on the third store, in that we're dealing with like $400, $500, $600 items, right? And it's like for a 3-pound item, they're charging me $25.
It's crazy.
So it's like, how do I on eBay justify? I got to recoup that, right? I'm getting feed on that. So let's say I charge 28 just so I can make sure it's kind of close to a wash. How do I justify, now the good news is it might be $400, $500, $600 part. They're not really going to care so much about a $28 shipping charge. but some might. And is that going to push people away?
Yeah.
Bachelor Brad says, if the buyer was yours, you wouldn't need eBay. You wouldn't need it, right? So it's like the chicken and the egg. So who came first, the seller or the buyer? I guess you could say the seller. You have the seller who's advertising it, that piques someone's interest, but the buyer doesn't even know you exist on eBay without eBay directing the traffic to you and that listing. Steven's Bargain Barn says, Bay has never has the customer. We supply the inventory. Yes. Yes. Alfonso says, eBay needs to restore the ability of sellers to leave negative feedback. We need an even playing field. But that's where I push back, because unless you've been there, look, I understand where you're coming from, but if you've seen how nasty some of these sellers can be, and they leave a nasty personal feedback against the buyer, what do you think that's going to... The reason why eBay got rid of that is because I'm sure they had a lot of people saying, look, I'm being defamed here. I'm being called things that aren't even appropriate, and you're not doing anything to change this. Or this person's lying about me. You know, they're saying I did this when I didn't. They just didn't want to take the return. There's going to be a lot of sellers out there who would say something totally derogatory to a buyer, all because they opened a return and they didn't like it.
Because their feelings are hurt.
It's feelings.
Because it wasn't their style once they got it. It didn't fit properly, or they chose the wrong thing, and you're pissed off because you should know what kind of car you drive. You should know what part it is. eBay's running a business. And they have to look out for their bottom line, and they have to look out for the customers. And sadly, the society that we live in, people get their feelings hurt way too easy nowadays. And also, people are very quick to call people names and say really nasty things in the public eye because they're behind a keyboard.
Yeah, and I really do feel this way, that sellers, we need to change our mindset. We really need to change our mindset. We need to start, and this is probably why I lost a lot of my viewers anyway years ago, because it was this idea of it's the cost of doing business. People didn't want to hear that. Like, we should be able to say things to buyers, but you know what? You get a negative feedback, you provide a professional review reply to it. And you just move on. You don't get caught up into it. You don't say, okay, oh yeah, let me, I got your address. I'm going to send you something that you really didn't like. We got to get our personal feelings out of the equation and learn to move
believe
on.
Me, Alfonso, I agree with you 1,000%. But that doesn't mean it should actually happen because of the way that it makes us feel as sellers.
Ryan's got to toe the line to where he's got to figure out, if he is able to come on board and make this whole thing work, he's got to fix the eBay seller relationship where sellers feel like a partner, or actually become somewhat of a partner in this. But you also have to nurture the buyer relationship. If you just throw the whole buyer protection and the things in place right now to keep buyers coming back, if you throw that out, it's not going to grow the way, you can't just say we have the inventory, the sellers without, and disregard the buyer experience, because that's where you start losing buyers.
Yeah, there is a very fine balancing act that he's going to have to toe, and I wouldn't want to be him.
Keith says that would instantly improve the site once get rid of all the old coding. I love that. I love that. And you can't say that's just a seller-facing problem, because there's buyers that try to buy our items that can't. Yeah. And what do? If they need it, they'll go somewhere else, and if they want it, maybe they'll go somewhere else, or maybe they'll try again. But it doesn't put, we're talking about this is our business, this is our store. It doesn't put us or eBay in a good light when that happens. Yeah. In it to Flip It says, this is another question that doesn't mean much other than highlight where eBay is dropping the ball. Yeah.
Yeah. Very true,
Yeah.
Susie. Very true.
Recycled auto part finds. Do you differentiate between a buyer being a business to business or an individual account holder as to whether they are a potential repeat customer? I mean, if your business is one where I'm buying on eBay because I need these supplies, or if I'm a reseller who buys on eBay to flip it, maybe they buy from auctions. Um, I personally don't, because I know that I'm not going to get a lot of repeat business. I'm just not. The kind of things that I sell, these are one-off items I'm not going to have again when they come looking again. But for the niche seller, I think they should. You should leverage that. You should embrace that, and you should actually play to that, like with newsletters and coupons and stuff like that. I think there's a lot of missed opportunities where you have an opportunity to treat your buyer better so they come back to you and not somebody else that's not being used. Keith says, but hey, what do I care? I don't even sell on eBay anymore. Would more seller-friendly policies, Keith, would that bring you back to reselling? A lot of sellers have left because I'm done with eBay's policies. I'm done with eBay's website. I'm done with these bad buyers and no seller. What you tell us, we have seller protections, but we don't really have the seller protections in place. There's got to be something in place to where if we get a swap out, we sell it. We have the photos proving that we sold this item, and then the buyer ships us back something entirely different or missing accessories, beat to hell. We should be able to say no refund for you. That I agree with, but there has to be a way to do it to where we can prove our case. And, at the end of the day, eBay's there. They see, well, this is obvious that they beat this to hell or whatever. And the buyer is not entitled to there's got to be a process in place that doesn't involve AI, in my opinion. I mean, I think AI is too new to pull these things off. Maybe in 5 years, maybe in 10 years, maybe 5 years is enough, where, they have the systems in place to where it can tell the difference between, a brick that they sent back and an Xbox. And, but then again, does eBay want to put themselves in the middle of that where maybe the seller's being dishonest? The buyer sent back the Xbox and now the seller's going to say they received a brick. So that's kind of the position that eBay's in right now. Mark says it should always be buyer friendly, but but sellers deserve to be treated better. That I agree with.
I agree.
Yeah. Tommy Z says, hello everyone. John and Jenna checking in. Carry on. Nice to see you.
Hi, Tommy.
Todd says it's like a citywide garage sale. I sell. The buyers are mine. The city just sets and organizes the sale. And they maintain the roads so that you have a yard sale and all the roads are closed in the neighborhood. You have some buyers that can, well, if you have the roads all closed, right, because the city didn't do their job, you have no buyers that come in. Gail says, hello, everyone. Nice to see you, Gail.
Hello, Gail.
And
So
Keith
low.
says, a lot of people are tightening their belts here.
Yeah.
And Todd says sales year to date are up 12%. That's absolutely
Nice.
outstanding. Now, it may seem like it's low volume. Some are bad. At least I hope that's the case. Samantha Hunter says, hi, John, Jenna, and chat. Nice to see you, Samantha.
Hello, Samantha.
And Todd says, thanks, Susie. You just went up 2 places in my will. But what he's not telling you is there's only 2 places in his will to begin with. And if you're not in the top 2 spots, you ain't in it. I don't care what list you're on. I learned that a long time ago, that Todd may like me, but I'm anywhere in his will. In it to flip it says, Todd, I'm up 99.6% year to date, but I've made huge changes this year.
That's outstanding.
That's great.
Susie.
And you said the key thing. I think there's a lot of sellers out there that don't want to make changes. They're just, maybe it's you're apprehensive. Maybe this whole thing that could happen with eBay, there's 31% in my poll this morning. Do you want to see this happen? 31% said no. And why is that? If this person's coming in saying we're going to make some changes for the seller, as a seller, would that not make you think, okay, this could be good? But I think sometimes when it comes to changes, some people are so
stuck in their
change
ways.
adverse. They don't want to see changes happen. They'd rather just stick with what they know. I know tomorrow when I get up, eBay is going to behave this way, and I've grown accustomed to it, and I don't want to change. Jovial says, anyone hear about Walmart laying off most all co-managers to restructure? They say Walmart is transitioning their upper management into new roles and positions, but those positions don't exist. Either way, easy way to do a mass layoff while flying under the radar. Walmart.
You know, there's a lot of companies that have too much management. And that's because they're hiring and hiring and hiring in all these management positions, and they're all doing the same job. There's too many, there's 5 people doing one job, or just as an example, there's too much management. I could say that very well for Amtrak. There's too many supervisors and managers, and then you got, it goes up, and there's too much of that. There's too many hands in the pot.
Yeah.
Doing the same job.
I remember seeing a thing saying that in 10 years, this is like a couple years ago, I read this to you guys, that in 10 years, 70% of the workforce is going to be replaced with AI.
Well,
and it's going to start with middle management. Middle management who they, let's say they have a manager under them and they report to a manager. Their tasks are going to be absorbed. They're going to be gone first.
yeah.
And then any job that requires like data entry or something that AI can handle is then going to be absorbed as well. And it looks like, it's that boiling frog thing. If you take a frog, throw it in lukewarm water, and you just turn up the temperature, and the temperature of the water starts to rise gradually, it won't know to jump out. But if you throw that frog into a boiling thing of water, it will jump out, right? So this is kind of all happening gradually to where we kind of don't even feel like it's happening.
Yeah, and also too, like I went to Walmart just the other day, and they took out almost every self-service checkout and added about 20 more cashier stations. And so that Walmart's experience on the self-checkout wasn't good for them. So they're taking out what they put in because it didn't work. And so I just think you're going to see a lot of things, a lot of companies make changes that are going to, in the end, if there's less management and more customer service agents, that's more people helping the customers. And the things that are actually the physical part of stocking the shelves and making sure that the store is clean. And I think that there's just a new way of business that's going to be coming to these big companies such as Walmart. And I think, like he said, it's gonna start at the top, and then who was it that just wasn't it eBay that just got rid of a bunch of upper management? Was that eBay that just got rid of a whole bunch of
did they?
There was I know that it's a big company. It could have been eBay. Anyway, I think that the focus for a lot of companies now is going to be more so on customer service, because you can't, that can't be done by AI. I mean, yes, it can, but it's very impersonal, and a lot of times AI gets it wrong when it comes to customer service.
So 68% see it as eBay's customer in its current form, as 32% do not. And so we have another poll, and I just put this out there just to see, do you want to see a change in how eBay treats their sellers? Now, maybe, just maybe, this can kind of bring to light with Ryan coming out saying, here's some of the things that I'd change. Maybe this brings to light some of the problems, maybe the disconnect that eBay has had. You can't, and I've said this for years, you can't, say, okay, everything's okay between eBay and sellers because we're going to have an eBay open for 3 days. And, because of that, it proves that we're going to, they did a hell of a job, by the way, putting the food out there and all that. So I got to commend them on that. But in the moment,
that was a human being.
in
that
the
wasn't
moment, I
AI.
felt great about eBay, right? I think my stomach was talking more than my brain. But when you kind of look back on it, and then you see eBay make all these promises and say they're going to do all these things, and then it's not everything they advertised.
Or, perception is also a big key.
Yeah.
You may feel like it's going to benefit you, but it's not going to benefit the majority of the people on the platform. And so you kind of have to, everybody is, I say this all the time when driving, people are absolutely the most selfish people in population we've ever been. People cut you off, and that's because they've got a place to go, and they don't care if you get in an accident behind them as long as you're behind them.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of plays into a lot of different things within the world nowadays.
Wesley Mode is here with us. The buyer belongs to eBay. Sadly, it's eBay's sandbox. Nice to see you, Wesley. Thanks for being here. And there's Spam. Nice to see you, Spam. Shopping with Cheryl says, went up north for a friend whose dad passed. Truck fill up in Kentucky, $130. Fill up in Illinois to go home, $160.
Oh.
Fuel prices hitting many people's extra cash. Right.
Yeah.
It's like, ooh, I just spent over $100 on gas. No, I think I'll pass on whatever I was going to go buy or whatever. Yeah. Keith says, if things continue or get worse and all you guys' sales keep dropping, then where is your point that you got to turn to Uber deliveries or something to support your income when it's that point? I've been able to be, very, very, she might say controlling, but to try to keep the funds to where we have had money put away for this kind of thing. So we have a little buffer zone. And of course, man, for some, it's like, that might be in the cards.
We're just really grateful to be able to work from home.
Yeah.
We go out and get our sourcing once a week. It takes a couple of hours because we have to go many places, but it's one day a week that we're in the car and driving around town, picking up all of our stuff, and then we're home. We don't go anywhere else. So I think in that sense, we're saving money. So if I wanted to go, let's say I wanted to go to California and visit my family for a weekend or whatever. For us, gas prices are not hurting us as bad as it is the average commuter and everyday worker.
Right.
So if we wanted to, because I keep telling him I want to go see my granddaughters. I want to go to California and visit the kids. And so in order to do that, we, as working from home every day, we are in a better situation when it comes to and compares to most average Americans who are having to drive back and forth to work, and who knows how long that commute is. In Vegas, you can really get anywhere in about 30 minutes. So it all depends on the demographics of your city and what you do for work. And there's so many different people that are in it worse than we are, that I'm just truly grateful that we are in a position where we work from home. We're grateful for that.
Yeah.
Because it could be very different.
And, doubling down on, when we source, looking more for the need versus want items, because we're still buying a lot of want items that people really, you know what, I can buy toner for my car, my printer maybe another time, or I can buy this car stereo for my car, next year when I'm in a better position. Thomas says, I'll be here every morning to hang out with you when I can, John. Awesome. Well, thanks, buddy. We appreciate that. Spam says, glad you're feeling better, John. Hope your health continues to improve. Well, thank you. It's a lot better than
The
it used to
road
be.
looks a lot less bumpy now.
When you have pain inside your body and you try to tough it out, it's one of the hardest things that you can do.
And we all know men don't handle pain very well.
That's a topic for another live stream. But Wesley says just because somebody is live doesn't mean they own the space.
That's true. That's true, but it's called respect.
Yeah. It's as far as like
for us.
It creates a perception that there's some nefarious stuff going on when after looking at it as like, yeah, when I do butt up against someone's live, it's not a good look. And I'm not trying to cause a rift or problems or controversy. It's like I can bring it back to 8 a.m. It's not gonna.
Yeah, because what was the very first thing I said to you when you brought the idea to me?
Well,
are you going to butt up with anybody else's live?
Yeah. Well, it's like I'm not trying to make a large. This is our long lives. We have lives that go for an hour and a half to 2 hours on a Monday and Friday. There's no way that I can do these daily lives and do anything more than 30 and stretching it 40 minutes because
I have to say he's been a lot more productive. With the health issue starting to simmer away and a little more time to be able to do it. But the fact that his joy has kind of taken a back seat. He enjoys hanging out with the guys and talking and just shooting the shit, because I can tell you right now, I'm not very fun to talk business with. Not at all. Because either I don't have an opinion, or I have an opinion that's too strong and he just walks away. So, I think that I miss seeing him be able to have that community time with all of you guys. So I think that he also misses it.
If you guys can tolerate me every day for 30 minutes or 40 minutes a day, that's... Bachelor Brad says, I used to own a downtown commercial building. The municipality put on an annual festival where all the vendors paid to set it up. This was restricted for me to set up a tent on my own property and sell.
Yeah.
Oh, really? They said I could set up any other weekend. But, it's like saying, how would you guys like it if one week or one weekend eBay said, yeah, we're only going to open eBay for these sellers and your items are going to be, well, they do that already.
Well, they do.
They do that already. But if they came out and actually announced it where they're going to say, okay, we're just going to highlight these sellers and your items aren't going to be shown over the weekend. It's closed for you. How would that feel? Mike G says, good evening. 2% up last 31 days. Selling more with less inventory last couple months. I like to see that. Down 3% year over year. Profits slightly down, working much less so far, please, despite the higher costs.
And that's what is exciting. And that's when you say working less, but maintaining a really good sales, 2%. It's not huge, but it's 2%. And some people like us are down 4%. So in the environment that we're in, it's nice to be able to see somebody who still puts forth the effort, but doesn't have to work as hard to get that money.
Todd says, I forgot John started a morning show, but listen later. Dark Horse says, I think it could be very good for both brands. GameStop and eBay. Hollywood Reseller said the podcast is amazing, but the AI topic was getting a bit too repetitive. Respectfully, of course, everyone is keeping an AI in the new changes, but what else is going on in the world of reselling? I agree 100%.
1,000%.
That was my biggest.
Here.
That was my biggest. But I mean, I was kind of outvoted. There's 4 guys, and that if it keeps getting brought up. Heck, I even resorted to playing devil's advocate, just to push back a little bit. But I understand what you're talking about. Mild Out Melancholy. Biff says, no joking. Todd's comment is on Justin's thumbnail for today. No sexy hand modeling, though.
Oh, okay.
Oh, his comment is on the thumbnail. Okay.
Let me go look.
Spam says that person is trying to stir up things and not being truthful. Go away. Yeah. Let's see. Wesley says, for me, if I'm around, I'm going to list whoever gives me the most value. And if I want to that day, maybe I'll catch the replay. Yeah. And it shouldn't be, listen to me and don't listen to them. I believe that, Josh, Primo, and Beard, we have a very good take on a lot of the things that are happening in the world of reselling, and it would be really just stupid for me to say that.
Is it? Are you talking about the one where he does interview Ryan?
I think he had that's the latest. Oh no, there's one right there. Probably.
Oh, that one.
I don't know. Alzi Beatis says, I think it would be interesting, but the debt load that would be necessary to make the purchase happen concerns me. Typically, a few years after these leverage type buyouts don't turn out well. Mm-hmm. And when there's something like that happens on a platform, I don't want to be the one finding out that we're shutting down because we weren't able to make it work. Because an eBay platform shutdown affects all of us, and not in a good way. Yeah. Let's see. Brenda says, hi, John and Jen in chat. I'm up around 5 a.m. Eastern time if you want to move the daily earlier. Just saying. We ain't moving it that early. As it is, it's like 2 a.m. It's like, will you go to bed already? I'm not ready to do a live for the next day.
No.
Biff says, I can't drop links, but maybe a mod can. Justin did a follow-up to his interview, and your comment is in the thumbnail. Yeah, that's the one that I was talking about. I don't have the thumbnail, but I do have the video. So there it is. Well,
congrats, Todd. You're famous now.
There's the video, but watch it after we're done here, okay? Don't watch it yet. Bachelor Brad says, I sell an antique store also. They do all the transactions. I don't meet, see, or talk to anyone that buys my items, not my customers. Antique Village pays me just like eBay pays me. Yeah, that's kind of a different perspective than a lot of people have.
Hi, Jen.
Justin is not in my will until he watches one of my shows. And there's JRKR 1964. Nice to see you.
Hello, Jen.
Mendoza did not get traded. He's not getting traded.
That's just mean.
As it is right now, I feel my buddy sent me a message saying I'm no longer an Angels fan. I can't say that. I'm too loyal.
Who said that?
Tim. But at the end of the day, I feel like the season's over already, and it's not even like the middle part of May.
Did you just put something in the?
Yeah, I put the
the video. Okay.
Yeah.
Keep spinning me.
John Elishat says, happy Monday, John and Jenna. Maybe 60 degrees at its best here in Pennsylvania, ready for warmer weather.
Gosh, you can have ours.
Outstanding.
You can have it.
And Brewers swept the Yankees. That's outstanding. Wesley Mode says, I got 20,000 freaking listings on eBay. I'm thinking about using the link or TreeCat. Any idea how long that would take? 20,000 listings will take you a solid amount of time. I would recommend, if you're going to port it over to TreeCat, do it like in the evening, and hopefully, and they're working on ways to get it faster. So I don't know if that's improved since we last had a meeting with them, but it's not going to affect you in a negative way on eBay while it's porting over.
What I do, or what I did initially when I was porting over the stuff, is I would set it before I go to bed, a couple of, in the evening time after I was done, and I would port everything over, and then by the morning time, like mid-morning maybe, everything would be done. But I also didn't do that many. The 20,000 is a lot of listings, so I would say you probably would want to do something similar, but maybe do it if you take a day off or downtime.
88 degrees in Burbank, and Michelle says, howdy, partner. Nice to see you, Michelle.
Hello, Michelle.
And Gail Carson says, gee, wish I was on the tarmac out at Nellis. 130 degrees there. Now, maybe out on the tarmac.
On the tarmac, I'm sure it's 130.
67 degrees where Andy's at. And Biff says, anyone who sells full-time at scale can't just compound 30% year over year as if it's automatic. That's a YouTube myth. Some years will be flat. But I'm just saying, like, who's going to have, if you have two stores that sell the same thing, who's going to, in theory, if you doing your listings the same way, who's going to have better success? Someone with 250 items or someone with 350 items? And I'm hopefully putting myself in a little bit better position than I was in last year at this time. We're just going to have to wait for the traffic to come back and the buyers to come back. Keith says, my saying is, don't stress out about things that's out of your control, but focus on the things you can. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But there's a lot of things you can control.
Yeah.
And the Flippin says to Keith, this Cohen thing is getting too much attention, although I do think the Just interview was worth the discussion since it was different from the other interviews. Yeah, it was definitely worth the discussion. I mean, we're only Monday.
Yeah.
It's only Monday.
Yeah,
we'll
move on by Friday.
The interview came out on Saturday, so it's still fresh news, but it's being focused on. But this live stream, it's more about the idea of really who owns who should control the buyer, or who owns the buyer. And it's kind of interesting. We have 82% want to see a change in how eBay treats their sellers. So 17% that don't. I thought that would be like over 90%. That, like, hey, we just got a lot going on. Maybe there's 17%.
Well, maybe some people aren't bothered by it because they're not affected by it.
Right. Maybe there's 18% that are like, look, things are smooth for me. I don't have these problems you guys keep talking about.
Yeah.
I don't get negatives. I don't get swap outs. I don't get bad buyers. I'm willing to bet the 17% that say that they don't want to see a change in how eBay treats their sellers are either buyers watching this, or they sell in the collectibles categories where these buyers are great. They're not the same buyers that we
are
put
treated
up
a lot
or they are better. They know what they want. They know how to communicate. They're respectful. Whereas some of these buyers are like just out of their damn mind.
Yeah.
Big Dre says, hello, John, Jen, and chat, listening at the gym.
Nice.
We'll say hi to Jim for us.
Put in a couple reps for us.
Honorary Squad says, no buyers have ever requested me to call them.
Yeah, me neither.
Biff says, I haven't had someone try to sneak a phone number in years. I don't think those get through anymore. Well, it's, people do what they're able to do, right? So if right now in the current climate, they know that they can't do it, they're not going to try. Biff says, I haven't had someone try to sneak. We saw that. Alexiana. Hopefully I got that right.
Alexiana?
Says, I usually don't comment, but I've been watching y'all for a year and honestly enjoy and love y'all's live stream. Good work to both of you. Well, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Look, we just like talking reselling. It's not, I got called out the other day by Todd on my video over the weekend on Sunday, because it looked like I was reading from AI. She called me out on it. This is my notes. I had to have my notes. I had notes on the screen, so I'm not reading verbatim, but I am looking at the notes to say, okay, I need to talk about it.
So Todd caught it. I knew people would catch it.
YouTubers will catch it.
Yes, because he had me watch the video. I was like, is it all right?
Alexandria just sniped somebody on Star Trek Collectible.
Ooh, well, good for you. I'm a sniper too.
Yeah, so is that something that's going to continue to happen? I'm not a big fan of sniping. I never have. Biff says the GameStop. If you're a buyer, yes, but if you're a seller, no. Biff says the GameStop deal would take months and probably won't happen. I'm moving forward with Shopify and AI-influenced shopping replacing Google searches pretty quickly. Yeah, I just want to know what that's all going to look like in the next year or two. It's going to look, heck, even AI listing wasn't on the radar a year ago, right? And look where we're at now. So what are these things going to look like next year? Yeah. Duncan says, I'm really feeling the slow sales due to the bad economy and rising costs.
Yeah.
It's happening. It's not an overnight thing. It's not something that we're going to wake up one morning and go, oh no, all my sales are gone. You're going to see a slower, gradual loss. That's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing that while we had a $770 day on Wednesday, we've had subpar days after that.
Yeah.
Jen says, I agree, Jenna. I have my doubts.
Yeah.
Lower your heating bill says, according to Chat GPT, eBay is modifying the offer Ryan may take it to the shareholders directly if the leadership doesn't take the offer. He sounds like Elon Musk. Listening to the customer is key. Yeah.
Yeah.
Biff says the bigger picture is AI agentic shopping, not CEO change. Where's Basket Noodle? But isn't eBay like they came out with their terms and conditions saying you don't want any part of the agentic AI shopping. If you're using a tool that scrapes data off of eBay, you're putting your account at risk. I think they're kind of trying to nip it in the bud before it happens. Time to Sell Collectibles says it's Monday. Hello, John, Jenna, and FA Live. Just one sale in the last 7 days.
Oh, God.
Well, we're going to put it out there. Hit that like button. Get your sale in the next 24 hours.
Sending them your way.
Duncan says my store sub just got auto changed to pro subscription and the fees went up. Did they change the plans around maybe?
Oh, yeah.
Look, here's the question I have for you guys. I have 1,000 item store. That's like what the starter store. That's for our second store. We are now over 500 items. So my inventory is growing on the site. At what point do you consider upping the size of your store? Now, you might think, well, you only have 500 items, but I have 500 items plus the 200 that have sold, right? I do a daily end item sell similar for my oldest, 1/30th of my store. So those also use up listings as well. I think on that store, it's kind of maybe time to bite the bullet and up the size of the store. Time to Sell Collectibles says eBay owns buyer and seller, but seller owns item and buyer has the money. But the seller can always leave and sell somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Jovial says, funny as I never minded hearing about AI and its innovations, but I'm already getting tired of hearing about Ryan Cohen and the possible sale of eBay.
Yeah.
This isn't going to be a recurring topic,
Yeah.
By the way. It's still fresh from over the weekend. So maybe other channels will cover it and beat it to death. But
I don't have any desire to talk about it anymore after.
And we kind of had that
once
format
we
this
stop
morning.
the show, that's it.
We kind of had the format this morning because it was kind of the hot topic. But in the the morning shows, it's just going to be me talking to you guys about whatever you guys want to talk about while I'm doing my end item sell similar stuff. And so that's what it's going to be. It may not be anything close to what you saw today, unless that's what you guys want. Cha-ching! I got a sale,
Yay!
says Jen. All right. Duncan says, remember when we could leave negs? A lot of sellers revenge feedbacking.
Yes.
Yep. And see, we as sellers, we are the ones that, believe it or not, we create the rules on the platform. Now, the majority doesn't. It's usually the bad apples or the few that screw it up for the rest of us that changes it. Alicia says, heads up.
Hello!
Poshmark's inactive listing feature took effect. If you're using Poshmark, go in and do a bulk reactivate.
Oh.
So if you haven't had many sales, because we probably have a few items still there.
No.
We don't have anything right now?
No, I took everything down.
We'll see. We have some clothes that we've added. I mean, I got these damn things here.
I already thought about putting those up.
Yeah.
Because I just need you to list them.
Yeah, they are on
And
Tree
then
Cat Ready
I
to Rock.
will-
I just gotta launch them from there. I just haven't messed with that other account so much. So, Wesley says Ryan was telling Justin basically he could turn eBay into an agentic workflow and use the capital for marketing to give better customer service to us sellers. Yeah, but can he pull it off?
Yeah.
I mean, even if he buys it, can he get in there and change the minds and get people on board? Get the cooperation and all that stuff.
Remember, there's shareholders that you have to satisfy.
I'm just talking about the internal employees who control the processes that are currently in place.
But you've got shareholders who may like the way everything's running right now, and they don't want you to do any of those things. And so there's a lot you have to take into account when something like this happens. So that's why I'm sitting back. I mean, I didn't know that this was going to be something we were talking about, but I'm already done hearing about it because I don't really feel like it's going to happen. If it happens, great. If we see benefits from it, great. But I don't want to spend another week or another show talking
won't.
about something that we don't
Now,
have any idea about.
let me put this out there. If come Thursday they say, okay, it's happening, we're going to talk about it, right? But
Well, yeah.
right now it's just kind of a what if. It's like
it's like
it's
talking about
fantasy.
a conspiracy
we're
theory
playing
over
fantasy.
and over and
we're playing
over.
fantasy eBay right now.
Yes.
Fantasy reselling. Okay, this
Yes.
is kind of a fantasy discussion.
Yeah.
Has the mailman come?
Because
that's important, because if they don't,
did you put it outside?
Yep, it's outside.
Let me look.
Let's see. Time to Sell Collectibles. The seller's only option is to block the bad buyer until they just create a new account. Yeah, and some might not bother. Lower your heating bill. A customer
Yes.
name. Awesome. Good job, Sal. Lower your heating bill says a customer came back 6 to 9 months later with the problem. My only option was to send a screenshot with my information so he could call me for customer service. Amazon and Walmart provide your number. Yeah, because after 90 days, all that information's gone.
Yeah.
But now, if they come back after 90 days with the problem, is it like a warranty thing that you've offered?
Yeah.
Because, again, that's the big problem as well. This whole thing with eBay offering warranties is garbage as far as I'm concerned, because if someone has your listing's only active for 90 days on that item, they come back in 6 months, they have a broken alternator, let's say, and
and then
it
you're
failed,
in this situation.
and you've offered a warranty. Now they can't even look at the listing because that listing's gone, and they have to contact you. And what if you just claim like amnesia, like I don't know what you're talking about? And there's a lot of people right now in the auto parts on eBay Motors that are even in their main gallery photo saying 5-year warranty, 10-year warranty, and I'm like, how the hell are you going to live up to that warranty? It's really I wish they'd do away with it. I wish they would do away with it. Unless if you're not able to maybe put warranty information in your main seller info page, then you shouldn't be able to offer warranties.
Yeah.
And that has to link to some page that actually gives the buyer clear instructions on what to do.
Yeah.
Keith says, if you want to be truly independent seller and have full control, you got to have your own site and generate your own traffic.
Yeah.
Yep.
I agree.
And that's why, at least on that third store, I'm still looking at the idea of a Shopify so that I can incorporate that company's return policy, which is very
that's
restrictive.
Really the only way we're going to be able to pull that off.
But
I mean, I don't know that there's another way.
Wesley says, whereas eBay, the old guard, will not adapt to technology, adapt to technology. February 20th, they already showed where they stand against the LLMs. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they don't want you building your bot that's going to do the work for you. Because I had one built last year that was even doing the fitment. So I'd have my listing in place, it's all done. And I didn't want to... Anybody who sells on eBay Motors knows that's a pain. You have a part that might be compatible with 30 different vehicles and 30 different vehicles of different years and different motor sizes, and that is a pain. It's you can be as fast as you want with the listing process, because like TreeCat will create the listings for eBay Motors, but it doesn't do fitment because it's just too much. I had AI going in and clicking the boxes for me. It was crazy. You could see like, okay, now we need to look for this make, model, year. Okay, I got it. And it was like Perplexity AI was doing all that. It was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But eBay doesn't want you doing that. Alfonso says, totally disagree. Sellers can't leave negatives. Buyers shouldn't be able to either. Fair is fair. If you could guarantee that, and Archie knows I'm on my live, so I don't know what's going on with that. He's calling me.
You should just answer it.
I should, huh? Archie, you know I'm live, right?
Hello.
Oh my God, it's Monday.
Hello.
Hello.
If you were a real friend, you would be watching
We have
and know.
120 people listening to you right now.
I'm making deals. I just picked up another CRT TV with components. Dude, guarantee you this will be sold tomorrow for $150.
Well, I'll call you after we're done. I'll call you after we're done here. All right. See you.
All right,
All right.
Hi, everyone. Bye.
Yeah.
You see that crazy photo I have of Archie. Todd says, if Ryan Cohen fixes eBay, I'm adopting him.
Yeah, he'll be
He'll
the
be
number
he'll
one
be the
in the
number
will.
one in the will. And if you can set it up to where, well, you already have that going on, but if we can get it to work into where, look, don't shake us down for promoting. This is my biggest thing. if he could pull this off, he's going to be number one in my will, which there's no money there, so it's like means nothing. Stop overtaxing the sellers. Okay,
Yeah.
you build 13.35% or whatever it is
Their-
is enough. Okay,
Yeah.
13 point something percent should be enough. I would even be willing to say, look, round it up to 15%, do away with this promoted listings crap, and build your business, build your earnings through growth on the platform.
Mm-hmm.
More buyers, more sellers getting more items up and bringing in more buyers. That instead of having 500, I don't know what the number is, 500 million in a year transactions, maybe it's a billion. I don't know how many transactions eBay does in a year. Double that number. What does that mean? You're going to get more revenue from that. That to me would be the way to go. But who am I? Just some guy who talks in front of a camera. In it to flip, it says the man who has no charisma, but he didn't get where he is by being stupid.
That's true.
I don't know if he doesn't have charisma. It's just
Yeah.
maybe he's a little different on camera than he is in person.
Well, he also could be, on the spectrum, or like Elon Musk. You guys compared him to Elon Musk. I know that Elon Musk is on the spectrum. Not saying anything bad about it, but some people they just are different, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Reef the Sea Forever says eBay doesn't want to update their old systems.
Yeah.
Is it they don't want to, or it? So I'm not going to give out proprietary information, but where we used to work, there is a system in place that is from like the late 80s. It was in place since that old.
Awful.
And everything that was built after that was attached to it. So when they decided to go to a new system, they couldn't get rid of it. They had to work around it like it was there, but they didn't want you to use it. It was just crazy. Common sense is fake. It would be interesting to see a creation of GameStop Marketplace, more affordable and realistic option for Ryan. Maybe,
Yeah.
but I mean, you'd be up against eBay, you'd be up against whatnot.
Amazon.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's just how many more marketplaces?
Yeah, well, I don't think
do we
we
want?
need any more.
Reef the Sea Forever says Ryan Cohen. If you look at his eyes, they're soulless. I don't know. I didn't focus that much on
didn't-
that. I was
yeah.
more listening to the conversation. Look, he might be a great guy, and
Yeah,
look, he's willing to work with sellers. He's shown Justin that he's willing to even come to us and have a conversation about it, right? So I don't want to personally attack the. I don't know anything about the guy. I would love
simply talking about what he would do in a business sense.
Yeah,
Elon Musk is a gazillionaire, and he is very different, but he is exceptionally intelligent, and that could be the same case with Ryan. No, we don't know that.
If people say, well, it doesn't seem this way, it seemed that way. Look, tell me how you made your billions. I'd like to sign
be
up
quite
for that
honest, I made a comment to John saying that, he reminds me of that kid that's sitting in the garage smoking weed. That's just my first initial thought about the way he
But
talks.
I don't want to, in either way, shape, or form, I don't want to disparage him because, again, he's doing the right thing by coming to sellers. And whether it's Justin's channel, whether it's another reselling channel, we need more of that.
Yes.
How many CEOs have avoided dealing with any reseller? Resellers sort of represent the other resellers that watch. I want to see more of what we saw over the weekend. So, Jen says Ground Advantage was really nice for a few years.
Yeah.
Used to beat Media Mail quite a bit for me, not anymore because they just upped their rates.
Yeah, it's awful. I mean, how much more are they going to just continue to gouge us every single year?
We have more packages for FedEx now than
crazy.
we've had before. We actually went from a lot of packages on FedEx to Ground Advantage to hardly any FedEx packages, right? And now it's sort of going back to more FedEx packages.
Yeah, even my smallest little 6x5x5s are cheaper going FedEx than they are Ground Advantage. It makes no sense.
Reef the Sea Forever. In the old days, seller used to be able to leave feedback. It was like that. LOL. Yeah. The Wild West of eBay. And there's some wild comments. I mean, it's like, ooh, you just called them a P? Oh, that's just not good. That's like... Glenn Cameron says, I own the buyer because I have to fulfill the order and take care of them. Therefore, I own the buyer.
Yeah.
Or you're... or eBay's putting us to work as their minions to take care of the buyer.
Well, to take care of eBay. I mean,
eBay's buyer.
honestly, everything that we do everything for the buyers.
Todd says 99.4% of my buyers are great, but the other 0.6% can be sneakers. Yes, I think we kind of all agree on that.
Yeah.
Jovial says, I've said this for years. There ain't no way USPS offers other platforms better, deeper discounts and not offering the same or larger discount to eBay. eBay is pocketing the difference. Think about that. Well, up until their recent 8% increase across the board, I thought their prices were very competitive. I'm passing on that. We're passing on that discount to the buyers still. We're still trying to, but
yeah, it's getting harder and harder.
Alfonso says eBay still has an occasional glitch that tells international buyers I don't ship to their country. I lost a buyer from UK today because of that. Yeah, that's ridiculous.
That's terrible.
Alcibiades says if he buys eBay, I would hope he would turn LLMs back on for traffic. 17% of my Shopify traffic is from ChatGPT, Gemini right now. They could just make LLM traffic available to those with offsite promos.
Yeah.
I still scratch my head as to why they did that. I know that they're really weird about their information. They don't like their pricing information to be scraped off the site. I don't know. Someone more qualified could probably address that better than me.
Yeah.
And to flip it to Jovial, of course they are. Otherwise, why would they be requiring that you buy labels from them to receive the item not received delay protections? I buy from Pirate Ship. I will not use eBay because they don't help you if there's a problem. Pirate Ship does. Yeah. And, that's another thing to do as well. Start, buying from Pirate Ship instead of eBay. Yeah. Tess cooks for you. Nice to see you,
Hello,
Tess.
Tess. What you making today?
And I went down 6 places in the list that's not on the will.
The non-existent list?
Yeah, the looking in list of the will.
Oh.
Let's see. Maylene, Arizona says, hi, John and Jenna. Nice to see you. Reef to Sea Forever says they always cut middle management now, especially with AI.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's nice to see, actually. I mean, to be quite honest, the management across many, many different companies is so bloated.
But where do they go? See, people that, where do they go?
I don't care.
But they're making see, these are people that would be buying from us. So now you have all these companies across, the world. They're losing employees due to AI. And where are our buyers at? That represents some of the buyer base, I think.
Well, true to a point, but man, I've always said there's too much management.
And Graham says too many chiefs and not enough Indians.
Yes.
I think we should get rid of all chiefs. I really do. Even the Kansas City Chiefs. We need to get rid of them too.
No.
Why?
I don't
They're in our way.
It was a joke.
Reef the Sea Forever says they're focusing on customer service. Yes, they should.
That's
all companies should focus on customer service.
Yeah, I think that it got lost for a while, for many years. I think customer service has been lost.
Big Dre says that's only because self-checkout equals 5-finger discount to a lot of people.
Absolutely. And our Walmart, every single day there were cops out in the parking lot.
You know what I read what they do? So they are watching you, right? So they have this facial recognition software. And so maybe you go in and you're like stealing a couple things or changing tags on a couple things, and you think you can get away with it because you got out the door. But they're letting all that accumulate to where you have like, okay, now you're exceeding like the $900 threshold to where it's a felony.
I think it's $700.
And now whatever it is, whatever that number is, now we got enough that we can now have someone come and arrest you and something's being done.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
There's a lot of facial recognition going on around the world. It's kind of crazy.
Shopping with Cheryl says, if eBay and Amazon quit making me money, I'm going to be a stripper. And at my age, I'm walking out naked and people will throw money at me to cover up. You say that, but there's like an 80-year-old woman out in downtown Vegas.
On Fremont Street.
And she has tassels.
Yes.
And
not much else.
And I'd say
on.
up here, but it's really a little lower than that. She has tassels.
It's down, way down here.
Yeah, it's just wrong. But Megan, thank you, Megan, for sending the gift memberships. Who's the lucky recipient?
All right. So, Life is Short.
Mike G.
Yep. And then In It to Flip It. So
Yep.
Susie. 601 Row Liz 3.
Yep.
And then Jeff Golden 3882 and Nezzy 2054.
Awesome. Well,
Oh,
congratulations.
thank you so much, Megan.
And thank you. If you guys got one of those, thank Megan for that. That's very
Yeah.
nice of her. And we're going to have on Monday Wednesday, a members only live at 3 p.m. Pacific,
this
6
coming
p.m. Eastern.
Wednesday.
Yeah, I meant to do one this last week, and I had a chance to get out, and I took that, so I apologize for that. Big Dre says, I've noticed that when you drive a clunker, people are less likely to mess with you and drive carefully around you, whereas if you drive a clean, good condition vehicle, they'll cut you off and honk.
That's probably very true. Probably very, very true.
Damon Sanders says, I drive 50 miles one way Monday through Friday to work, and I have a V8.
Oh,
boy.
Dang, Damon.
How
Woo!
many blocks to the gallon do you get on that?
Yeah, how many blocks?
Big J
That's
says, what days will the
terrible.
morning shows be? I'm going to do Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
Unless something comes up and I can't, I got to be somewhere, it's going to happen. And look for it to start at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. Yan Mick says, I will go back to work at the shop starting next week. Not enough sales anymore.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That
You know, my advice for what it's worth is, keep those lines in the water and kind of let it be a second thing that you're doing to make money. And if things improve, then maybe you can check it out again. Jovis says Walmart keeps track of individual theft till it reaches grand theft versus petty theft, being cost effective and making the charges stick. So essentially they keep track of the 5-finger discounts. Yeah.
Yes.
Whether you don't ring something up at the register or walk out the door with it, judges in every state know this. So when you go to court, you're pretty much doomed.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's out here. I mean, I'm sure it is rampant everywhere, but in Vegas, it's horrendous.
Todd says, I don't like John at least 30 minutes a day. Into Flip says, I don't get YouTube notifications unless I have it going to my desk, so I didn't know you were live until you were on just about done.
Oh,
Love when people are live during the day.
yeah.
Yeah, and so we'll grow it. It's we had like 50 or 60 people, which is fine. I mean, if that's how many we get, that's how many we get. I just hope that you guys know that it's just going to be a short thing, 30, 40 minutes, and I just can't camp out all day, especially on Mondays and Fridays.
If he camps out long enough, then I'm getting up and I'm gonna be coming in here and being like, excuse me, sir.
Duncan says, luckily Jenna and John has AI to talk business and relationship advice with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Big Dre says the next PPP can have Grok, Gemini, and Claude. Yes,
Oh,
I'll have like a cartoon face.
Jeez.
And maybe
No.
we'll get the technology to where I talk about something and then one starts chiming in. It starts like the mouth.
Please no. Please no.
Automation is where vintage businesses go to die. The moment you stop touching your inventory is the moment you stop being an expert and start being a liquidator.
I
Yes.
agree with that 100%.
Mark says it's hard to consider not running at the same time when there are so many established resellers with channels.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brad says 17% must have accidentally hit the wrong button as far as right now we're at 14%. So they've got more people saying that they think that eBay needs to change how they treat their sellers.
Yeah.
Andre Squaw, I agree. He does sound a lot like Elon Musk, and I think they may both be on the spectrum.
Yeah. I believe I know that Elon is, but because he's talked about it in documentaries.
Mike G says generally the lower cost or oversaturated items bring problem buyers. Yeah. Dre says sniping only works if you bid high enough to beat the proxy.
That's so true. It's so annoying too when you want to go in and snipe and somebody else has done it already.
Cheryl says, I have used my 1,000, so I'm now listing media in which I can have 10,000 for free with my store size.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't really, there's some
and
categories
that's
where you
an
get
example
free
of
listings, but
working around and adapting to the culture of eBay.
Christopher Nutter, nice to see you. Hello to you.
Hello, Christopher.
And Glenn says sales since the show, 3 sales since the show started. Got to hit the like button to do it. I'm
Love
telling
it.
you, we put that
I got a
positive.
sale too. While we were live, it was a $67.
Mark's going to be
sale.
listing more. And Christopher says, John and Jenna, I'll be live on Flippin' Hippos, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to be on Jack's Treasures.
Wait, today? You're going to be on Thursday.
Thursday.
Okay.
I think they record on Wednesday afternoon, so I'll be doing that show. So that's going to be before the members only live, so I can tell you guys all about it. Marks has got to take a batch of photos, about 10 or so items. My big brother has more clothes he's going to bring over. Get that stuff up.
Yeah.
Right now, photos is probably the biggest obstacle in everyone's way.
Yeah.
Dre says, if I have time, I'll snipe, but a lot of times I'll forget to bid. Usually I just set my highest bid and hope to win.
Yeah, that's what I do with all of our liquidation. But when it's something that I want, like for me, I will be sniping.
Recycled auto part finds. On one of Beard's lives, he said he likes to list like $650 or so in value per day. Do you prefer quantity listed versus dollar value? So it's about dollar value. To me, I think this whole thing of, well, list 50 a day, well, I guess if you feel like that's your quota, but if you're listing $55 items versus, let's say you list 10 $75 items. So maybe you feel like, I listed 50, you only listed 10. But on the 10 example, I've listed more in value. And eBay doesn't pay us in listings. They pay us in money. So the more value you have, dollar value you have on the site, the more money you're potentially going to make. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah. Do you have a set amount that you...
No, I just do as much as I can. I mean, I'd like to list 1,000 a day, but I know that in some days it's not possible. But, I think also when you make goals for yourself, that's very tough and not attainable. That makes you feel like you
didn't do
enough and you feel bad about yourself. So, go in knowing like, hey, maybe I want to list $700 today, but if I can get it up to 1,000, awesome, right? Because I know I'm going to have days where maybe I don't get enough stuff to hit that number.
Yeah.
That's kind of the way I look at it. Wesley Moe, thanks for the Tree Cat advice. I really like their fee structure. I mean, how can you not?
Their fee structure is, I think, the best out there.
I mean, to say, okay, in this given month, I'm going to sell 1,000 items. I mean, not many people can say that and know that as a result of using their tool, I ain't going to pay more than $60.
Yeah.
That's
because the more you sell, the lower the price goes down.
List as much as you want, using their tools, but it's only when you sell will they charge you for that. And, we're going to talk about it here in a second, but use my code down below, get 2 months for free. So, and then you can see if you like it or not. Fashion New says, hello, everyone. Nice to see you.
Hello.
Dominic Evans says, evening all. Nice to see you, Dominic.
Hello, Dominic.
And then Todd says, Archie, what a fun doofus. Archie's a great guy. Archie's a great guy.
Archie.
Fashion News says, sales are very slow. I wish if there is a new owner, it works for me. I mean, it could. Look, I don't really blame a lot of what's going on with sales on eBay specifically. I think there's a lot in the economy that's happening.
Yeah.
But they could do a lot better, at least with what they're providing us with their platform.
Yeah.
To not push buyers away, to not give us error messages. And when you get error messages, you're fired up to work and you can't work because of the problem on the site. You got to put everything away and start again at another time. It just sucks. Kills progress. In a flip, it says, heck, I'm happy to pay Posh 20% because no returns.
Yes, I know, right? Yeah.
Haha, me and Jenna have the same thoughts.
I know exactly what you were talking about.
There's Basket Noodle. Howdy, how are everyone out there? We're doing great, actually. Sheldon from Big Bang Theory is what Ryan reminds on Resquaw. I didn't watch that show. Vasquez says, how many CEOs want market themselves to sellers on YouTube, will market themselves on YouTube and give nothing but vague answers and feel good? But at least it's, look,
It's more than we get from eBay.
I mean, how many CEOs so far have stepped in front of a camera, you know, not having the questions given to them in advance, giving vague, I mean, he may have an idea of what's going on and what he needs to do, but he doesn't have all the details.
Yeah.
I'm sure he doesn't know 100% what he's up against. Maybe he has an idea, but, and even if he did, I don't know if he's going to tell us all of it. I mean, there's a certain amount of information that you are going to share with the public, no matter who you are.
Yeah.
Todd says, bottom line, a guy like Ryan Cohen coming on a YouTube reseller interview is remarkable. Yeah.
Yes,
I think so.
I agree.
So kudos to him for doing that.
I mean, because he could have just gone on, you know, CNN or Fox or wherever and done a 5-minute spiel and be done with it. But he actually felt that there was a value with Justin in doing an interview with him to our community. And I think that speaks volumes.
Todd says, MS really to a guy like Cohen channel like Justin's is a blip on the radar. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Common Sense is Fake says, have you thought about creating your own marketplace on District? If yes, what is it going to be called? No, I think that kind of, there's a buyer base on District, but it doesn't have the same momentum that it's had last year at this time. Mm-hmm. But if I had one, it would be called Buying is Easy. I don't know. Just putting it out there. I don't know. Basket says, you wouldn't see him appear on, say, Pegasus, who's going to ask hard questions. I've sent an email over the weekend. I thought, you know what? My channel's a lot smaller, but maybe he's willing to go on other channels. So I sent an email. I may or may not get an answer. Probably won't get an answer. But if I do, it's to bring him on live and so that you guys can ask some tough questions. We'll see if it happens or not. Andy Reno says, for me, prices on Pirate Ship are the exact same amount to the penny as eBay. What a coincidence.
That's what it was. What the last time he had said, hey, why don't we try Pirate Ship? And when I did, every single item was the same exact price. So I don't want to do any more extra work. You know, shipping is a lot. And I don't want to do anything more than I really have to when it comes to, you know, jumping from account to an account to.
Yeah, especially when eBay's sort of dangling the carrot. Buy from us and we'll give you these protections. It's like, okay, you're kind of forced. I'd rather.
But if it is cheaper right now, I mean, it's definitely worth it to go look and see if there is any difference. And if there is, maybe run it there. But the last time I checked it, which was maybe about 6 months ago, it wasn't worth it.
Duncan says, my nephew in Seattle is a code writer and recently got replaced by AI that was Microsoft.
I know. Isn't that really
That's
sucky?
Copilot.
Because of the fact that we, you know, for years, everybody's saying, oh, get code, you know, learn code. And we're telling all of our kids, you know, it's in coding. You're going to find the money in coding. Not anymore.
Duncan says, get rid of KFC. Chief Colonel Sanders, replace him with AI. What do you say, Jenna?
With Al.
They already do. They have all these AI Colonel Sanderses that are in commercials. Thanks again, Megan, for doing that. Buy low, sell chai. Nice to see you. And
Megan went up 2 places in my will.
Duncan says, light rain in Sydney. It's getting to be wintertime over there for where you're at. Basket says, and Cohen said it, price at what market will bear. That's Amazon. That's Walmart. Yeah. Fashion News says, I wish he don't buy eBay and it turns out for the worst. I missed years ago. I sold so much. But on the trajectory we're going on right now with current management, do you guys like that?
Do you guys really think that it can't get worse?
Because we're not going back. In the current status of things, we're not going back to the way it used to be. Yeah. Now, if you bring in new blood and you know, new ideas, there is a chance it could go back to something similar to that. You know?
It could, and it could benefit in the more positive way. Whereas, you know, we're stuck in whatever they give us right now, but you know, maybe with new blood, like he said, it could benefit us.
Well, Megan says, got to run, but wanted to pop in and send blessings after my biggest profit on eBay today. That's awesome. Well, thank you for doing that. We appreciate it.
That's amazing. I love that, Megan.
Basket said the other thing Cohen said I found interesting was making eBay process so anyone can do it ever so easy and use GameStop stores to drop off.
Yeah, that part I don't know that I agree with. But
Well, making the easy part, but again, if you have grandma's, you know what, cuckoo clock, do you think the people at GameStop are going to know what the hell to do with that?
that's my point. That is my problem, is how educated will these, usually GameStops are kids working in their shops, how educated are they on a, ephemera from 1819, you know?
Where pigs fly farm. Nice to see you.
Hello.
Let's see. Basket says if he could make it easy, so Snap Photo, eBay does most of the rest, including display of market bearing price, and use GameStop for fulfillment, that's a winner. Yeah. Duncan says I hit the like, no sale. Got 200 crickets, 350 cicadas, 150. Yeah, but that's because we have it set for you to have that.
Yours is special.
Mike G says I listed $800 items, 15 total. I shoot for $650 and 12 items.
Yeah,
There you go.
that's awesome.
Let's see. Michelle R. I don't care who buys it. I just hope they make eBay better for us sellers.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I mean, I have no preference as to who buys it, as long as we could maybe benefit in a better way.
Basket, the fact that they're doing that, this man didn't have to go onto Justin's channel and make time for, was it 30, 40 minutes? Didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's to get more, get more hoopla out there for this to kind of help push it through or what. But you know what? If after an acquisition's made, he's willing to, involve the reselling community in discussions, because he said he wanted to hear from us.
Yeah.
So if he's willing to be the ear and not rely on his employees or AI to be the ear, I'm all for it.
It just, in my opinion, makes me feel like he's a lot more into hearing about what the sellers actually need versus, a corporate news station or newspaper, Wall Street Journal or whoever the hell else. Not many people are looking at those anymore. Hate to tell you.
Basket says, I'd love to see you interview John. You're not going to run the always in control. Every answer is acceptable, even if it's just a little bit. I'm going to look, if I was able to interview the man tomorrow versus if he did take over the company, I would have a different set of questions, because I can't expect him to know all the rules that we find redundant or painful, to be able to speak to that. But maybe to just ask a lot of the same kind of questions that Justin asked. Again, you got to remember, if you saw the rebuttal or the video that Justin put out later today or earlier today, he said, look, I got notification on a Friday that he's willing to do it. Why don't we get together? And they did. And he's like, okay, let's go ahead and hit record. It's like he didn't have the questions even written down or on his radar, I don't think. So he did a pretty good job with that considered. Common sense is fake. Is it just me, or many people just concentrating on eBay's cons but totally ignoring the pros? Who else allows their sellers to sell to almost any country with the true seller protection? Look, eBay's got a good program in place. What I'm saying is that a lot of these policies, eBay will take a bad seller and they'll make all of us have to live up to that, right? Instead of just dealing with the bad seller. It's that type of running the business that doesn't set well with me. There's a lot of good things that eBay's doing. I think the EIS program is good. eBay International Shipping Program is well done. I think their authentication processes is well done. I think the amount of traffic they bring in is what keeps me on the platform. I'd be doing something else if it wasn't for that. So there's a lot of pros. And if you watch this channel long enough, you'll think one day I'm a fanboy, and the next day you'll think, dude, this guy hates eBay.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, here's the one thing that eBay does really well, more than anything else. They've never missed a payment.
Never.
I've never had like, where's my wait? They said they sent it to me. How come I don't? They have never missed a payment since managed payments. And how many people, when they rolled out managed payments,
We're
how many
scared.
people were like, eBay's going to screw this up royally,
Yeah.
right? So, you know, they get their flowers when they deserve it. But you know, that debacle that happened 2 weekends ago, it's like, yeah, it's not a good look for eBay. So,
Yeah.
you get, for me, you get both sides of it. And unfortunately, some people will hear when I only complain about eBay, and some people will only hear when I'm giving eBay their flowers. Like, how can you give them their flowers because they do all this stuff bad? I can't make everyone happy. I'm just going to call balls and strikes. That's all I can do. So here's what I want to do. I want to, real quick, give away a hat and shirt from Tree Cat. And we try to do this on all of our lives. If you can, in the chat, put a number between 1 and 300. I mean, you probably don't need to put that many, but we do it just to kind of spread it out. And we'll play the Tree Cat promo and come back, and we will select a winner. It has to be a U.S. I mean, you can participate if you want, but we can only do it for U.S. because just the logistics and all that. So, you know, make sure you get your number in 1 to 300. You guys hear us talk a lot about cross-listing on this program. And you guys know that we talk also a lot about TreeCat. It's just packed full of features. And the cool thing is it's really not a program that's 100% only for cross-listers. Yes, if you're a cross-lister, there's no need to even use the other tool. But there's a cool feature I really haven't talked about a lot, and that's their AI photo listing feature that allows you to upload one or more photos for one or more listings, and the AI is going to step in and do your listing work for you. And then all you have to do is go in, double check the work, and launch your listings, and you've saved yourself a ton of time. Now, the best part about this is that this is yet just another feature built within TreeCat, and you do not pay for any listings that you make until the item sells. So you only pay when you sell with TreeCat, and you can list hundreds, thousands of listings. They don't care. It's the only time that you're ever going to pay is when it sells. Now, for the first 2 months, if you use my code down below, you won't have to pay at all for the first 2 months. And then you can evaluate what I've been trying to tell you all along, that TreeCat is the best program, and this just puts it over the top. So what are you waiting for? So what are you waiting for? Darn it. And we're going to give away, here it is right here. We're going to give away with this tool, pardon the commercials that they have. Other people want to be involved in this and they can't be. So we're going to do it. 1 to 300. I think Dominic is the last one that we have here. Good luck. And I would say good luck in high scoring, but some of you have low numbers. So maybe low scoring or maybe not. We have 141. Who is the closest to 141? I see that we have Brad looks maybe, oh no, sorry, not Brad, but Richard Spinewski might be the one. Let's see. I think that's the closest maybe.
Why aren't they not coming up for me?
It's near the bottom. Richard, right there.
Oh.
Richard Spinewski. That looks like our closest one right there to the number. Let me get onto the other screen here. 173, is that our winner? And while you're looking at that, I'll take a look at a few more comments before we turn in for the night. Shopping with Cheryl, I got my listing done for the day and have my batch scheduled for tomorrow. The live shows are a reason to sit still and get stuff done. That's awesome. Glad to be of help with that.
Yeah, you're right.
Amazon seller says one perspective is we're all lucky to have marketplaces because driving traffic to your own site is a bigger nightmare than most people can imagine.
Yes.
For 15 to 30%, it's definitely worth it.
100%.
Yeah, 15 to 20% is definitely worth it to me. I don't know if I want to spend any more than that. Basket says, how do you solve buyer and seller disputes? His answer, communications. I think that is the way you handle a lot of disputes, is how you communicate. A lack of communication, a lack of channels to communicate, are probably one of the biggest problems we have in this world, not just in business, but in everything. Relationships, world events, you name it. It's the willingness or inability for parties to communicate Just think of a time in your life where you could have communicated better and something could have changed.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what we're looking at here. So I think with that, we're going to call it because we're over 2 hours and
Yeah,
we've got some
Richard.
things to do. So it is Richard Spinewski.
Richard,
And,
congratulations.
Richard, send me an email at flippinainteasy2020@gmail.com and with your size of your shirt and your address, and we'll make sure that it gets sent out to you.
Yeah.
So with that said, guys, look, I know it's already an old topic. It's kind of been beat to death, but I am excited about prospects of new ownership. Given the statements of Ryan Cohen, I'm excited about it. But we got to kind of just wait and see and keep running our business because we can't control any of this stuff. It's fun to talk about, but at the end of the day, I don't care who's in charge or what they're doing. You still got to put in the work. You got to still put in the effort, and none of this is going to be done for you. So that's what you need to focus on and let everything else fall into place. But realizing that and figuring all that out for yourself is yet another example of how flipping ain't easy. And we will talk to you in the morning.
In the morning? Oh.
Yeah, I'm going to do my live in the morning. 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. Be there or be square.
And I'll see you guys Friday.
Yep. Take care, everybody.
Take care. God bless.
Bye.